welcome to the stage, Mike Zakarian.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Happy Thursday. We were on this like every other day thing this week. We were back on Tuesday because Monday we streamed a little USA versus Greece. Then we're off our normal off day on Wednesday, but we're back today. And also we'll be back tomorrow, which is exciting. We got a fun one today. Weisberg's going to join us in a minute. We'll cover a little bit of NBA news. We'll do some FIBA stuff, some Eric Lewis stuff. And then we took like a month off between Western Conference over-unders and Eastern Conference over-unders. So we'll dive into that as well. Who do we got here this morning? Snoop Loop, let us know. Happy National Trail Mix Day. I don't know what Starfield is, Matthew, but I'm happy you're here this morning. Sneeps is here. The Common Man's here. Bowdivine, excuse me. I said it like Tandy. Virgin Energy. Hugo's here. We got Brent. Good morning, sir. Regulators here. We've got Boston Base. Snoopaloop, yes or no? Dried fruit in the trail mix. I say yes. Patrick Coyne's here. We the people. Who else? Heath Johnson. Let's go, Heath. Mike's afternoon Europe. We love to see it. Starkholm's here. We got everybody's here. Like the video, subscribe. One other programming note, I think so. We finally, after I bullied and threatened a bunch of different people to sign up for fantasy football, we finally filled all 3 leagues. So 3 leagues are full. We made it happen, and all of the draft times are set for tonight at 9:30 Eastern. And as I was sipping some coffee this morning, I decided we're just going to stream the thing. So and I also have another draft happening that night. I think all 4 are happening simultaneously. So we're going to stream it tonight. I'll share screen. We'll have all the drafts up. We'll make it work. So if you guys want to hang out and do that, maybe crack a little brouhaha, and we'll have some fun with that. Otherwise, I think that's it for programming stuff. We'll be back tomorrow. Have some fun with the polls that I've been putting up on the community page. I don't know if you guys have been seeing those, but I'm trying to cultivate engagement on the community page. So we've been having some fun with that as well. I think college football starts tonight. That's fun. I don't know. I think that's it. A couple more people jumping in. We've got Garen up in here. Let's go. Veronica here. We love to see it. All right. Enough of that. Let's dive in. Let's get Weisberg on here. Mike, what's going on, man?
What's up, guys? A little tired after the last 2 weeks. Those of you who know, I got COVID about 2 weeks ago, which was not fun. And then I went to a wedding in New York, about 10 days later. So it's been a crazy last couple weeks, but excited to be back on.
Well, especially because you were responsible for a super spreader event, right? You coming to New York, going to a wedding, passing that ish around, baby.
Hey, look, I was tested negative by day 8, so I was good.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
And the wedding didn't happen until like day 12, so it's fine.
Where in New York was the wedding?
Brooklyn, the Audubon Society Boathouse.
Oh, at a boathouse. That's fun.
Yeah, it was a good time.
That's fun.
The most Brooklyn wedding ever, but it was great.
Yeah, that's great, though. That's great. We love it at a boathouse. All right, what do you want to start with first, Mike? Would you prefer FIBA? Would you prefer Eric Lewis? Or would you – I think either one of those. We'll do the Eastern Conference stuff afterwards.
We'll do the Eastern Conference stuff last. Let's do the Eric Lewis thing because that story is insane.
All right, let me just I'm going to share screen right now, and then we can talk about it. But the NBA dropped a little news dump yesterday, which was great. NBA statement regarding Eric Lewis on August 30th of 2023. NBA referee Eric Lewis has informed the league office that he is retiring effective immediately. In light of his decision, the NBA's investigation into social media social media activity has been closed. Now, for those that don't remember, it came out like that his burner account, he was just kind of defending all of his actions or defending his refereeing. Then there was, of course, like that his family members were Celtics fans, so people were freaking out about that. But I don't know. What was kind of your reaction to that?
I mean, it's kind of interesting. You dropped he's retiring on the day before Labor Day weekend. Would have done Friday, but different strokes, different folks, However you want to burn the guy, you're burning the guy one way or another. But like the second sentence there is the part that really gets me. It's like, oh yeah, we're not going to release any transparency about this thing that happened during the playoffs. Like when the announcement happened, full investigation. We're going to let you guys know.
Right.
Well, actually, he's retiring. So
yeah. You know, it's funny, and I was reading Tom Ziller's Good Morning Basketball, Good Morning It's Basketball newsletter, which is really good. You guys should read that. And today he was kind of saying like there was nothing like everybody or not everybody, lots of people have burner accounts. And what do you use your burner accounts for? To defend yourself usually. So there was
Yes.
something weird about that. And then the family fandom thing, or like how many Celtics games he refed, and the outcomes was actually like he was saying that there was fake information had come out, so everybody ran with that. But the fact that they did it the way that they did it does lead you to believe that there was definitely something fishy going on with it.
It,
um
it's a classic NBA thing to do. Frankly, it's a great media move. Let's just
yeah,
be very clear. Just just don't release the information, whether it's good, bad, and different. Like this is going to sound very poor in terms of transparency, but if you're a big corporation like the NBA, you don't want transparency.
right,
Like you just don't. Particularly when it comes to transgressions, which could impact things like betting
yeah,
or any of your other partners, like DraftKings or FanDuel or Caesars or whoever your current betting partner is.
yeah.
But like ultimately, when you have a ref scandal, the best thing for the NBA to do is to make that shit go away from
why
an
do
NBA
you
perspective.
why do you think they even announced it like that to begin with? Like, did they owe like are they required to say that the investigation is closed? Like
I think the first question people would have is like from a pure media perspective, someone would hit the league office and be like, "So what's happening with that investigation?" This eliminates that,
yeah.
right? So like you just won't get those emails from reporters asking those questions. At this stage, from the NBA perspective, they're like, "This guy's retired and that investigation doesn't matter. None of this
Yeah.
happened. Don't worry about it."
Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Matt says, so is he only accused of using a burner to offend his officiating? Even if he was found to violate NBA policy, it wasn't like he was saying go Celts the night he was officiating a game. Well, no, I don't think if that was it, right? If it was just that he was defending himself, or if it was just that like his family were Celtics fans, I don't think they'd have to do this. So, and I don't know if he would have retired right away. Like it definitely feels like through the investigation they found some stuff that was a little sus, and then they were like, you know what? Why don't this is how we make this go away?
Well, I mean, here's the better point, Mike. It's like it's not just about making something go away. I think the bigger question from an NBA perspective is they probably went to Eric Lewis. They were like, "Here's all the information we found. You want us to go public, or do you want
Yeah,
to retire?"
yeah,
That's how that works. Like
yeah.
it's not quite blackmail, but it's pretty heavy handed in terms of the way that these kind of situations work themselves out in terms of public facing investigations.
Right, right. Yeah, I'll be curious. As like Tom Ziller said too, Tom Haberstrow, who he just came out with his own new Substack newsletter, I believe. I forget what it's called now, but he's someone who does a lot of deep diving in the referee and officiating streets, and has some good thoughts and analysis typically. So I'll be curious to see what his findings are. I imagine he makes some podcast rounds after that as well. So I don't know. It was kind of funny.
He offers
Okay.
bottom 10 ref rankings, basically.
Yeah.
So if you feel like your team's been hosed by the refs, Tom Habershaw's got all the data to prove that. So
Yeah.
go read it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's enough on that. I just like loved the phrasing of the announcement that came out yesterday. It made me LOL. It was good. All right, real quick, what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna give you a little FIBA update here of just what we have for this weekend for the United States anyway. So and if those that tuned in Tuesday, you got to see me be an ass because I didn't understand that it went from one group stage to like super group stage. So there's 4 teams now with or 3. I forget who the 4th team is with the United States right now, but the United States, Lithuania, Montenegro, and there's a 4th team that I'm forgetting, which I'm sorry for the massive disrespect I'm giving you, because Montenegro and Lithuania seem to be the 2 more scary opponents. They play Montenegro first. For those that don't know, Montenegro has Nikola Vucevic of the Chicago Bulls leading them. And then Lithuania, who has been dominating teams in the first group stage, has Jonas Valanciunas. So that's who's squaring off right there. And they actually, there's another group that includes Serbia, the Dominican Republic, and then I'm blanking on the other 2 countries as well. And top or assuming the United States win that group, they will play whoever finishes the second team in that group, which means it could be Karl Anthony Towns or from Dominican Republic or Serbia who's been cooking. Have you been watching any of the FIBA stuff throughout?
Yeah, FIBA's been awesome across the board. Canada, look, they've been fantastic, and I think they're the most likely team to potentially beat the U.S. Now, that's going to be in a semifinal matchup based on the way the brackets break out.
Which team? Sorry, I missed that.
Canada won't play the U.S. in the final. They'll play them in the semifinal based on the brackets.
Right.
The other team that's been great has been Germany.
Yeah, Germany's been really good.
Germany's been great, and they got legit NBA players. They were the team that almost beat the U.S. about a week ago, and that's when we had that Ant breakout game. But it's been look, as far as the NBA goes, I think there's been a couple big moments here. One, I think there's been a nice Karl Anthony Towns revival for people.
Yeah.
Just like Cat partying with fans, Cat kind of dominating games night in, night out. Like the Minnesota Timberwolves are having themselves a little bit of a moment here with FIBA.
Oh, yeah, except for Rudy.
And Cat. Yeah. And Rudy. I mean, Rudy not so much with fans getting knocked out. But the principle remains, like, Minnesota is having a moment from an NBA perspective because these guys are really thriving in the FIBA environment. That said, do I expect the U.S. to win FIBA? Yeah, I do. And I think the most interesting thing that we've seen so far happened in their most recent game, which happened at like 1:30 yesterday. But the idea that Brandon Ingram got dropped from the starting lineup for Josh Hart is an interesting move from Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
One that was kind of unexpected, but you could kind of see happening from a mile away.
Yeah, Brandon Ingram was really struggling with the starters, so they moved him into the backup role, and I think he had like 7 points and 5 dimes in that, which like not great either. But he just, I mean, everybody else seems to be clicking except for Brandon Ingram, which is kind of weird. And Josh Hart, I think Josh Hart had like 12 boards too, and only took a couple of shots, like did exactly what they needed him to do in that role. I agree with you though. I mean, I think the US are the favorites, but like Canada has looked like the best team so far. I think they've got like a plus 37 or something in the games that they played. And the third game, they didn't have too much to play for either. So I think they played a lot of their reserves in that game. So I mean, they look really good. Serbia's looked awesome too. I mean, Nikola Jovic, who's been like great for them, which like, I don't know if Portland fans are starting to like warm up to the idea that Jovic comes over in that Dame trade. But I do think it's going to, I think this weekend will be a fun test because I think Montenegro is like solid. And I think Lithuania's been awesome. So
Luka's been,
sorry.
I was thinking about Lithuania.
Well, yeah, we can talk about Slovenia too. I mean, Luka's been that
dude, man. Like, he might be the best player in the tournament outside of SGA. Like,
yeah, both of them have been dominant.
He's been fucking awesome. But yes, as far as the US goes, I think I expect them to breeze through, the super group stage. And then the knockout rounds are going to be interesting depending on how these things work out. Because, like I said earlier, Germany's no joke, but that team is really, really good. And when you watch Canada, like, they do everything right. There's guys that have been playing together forever. They have legit bigs like Kelly Olynyk. Like, Kelly's been playing international ball for a decade.
They get that like 11-footer from Purdue too. What's his name? Zach Edey.
Zach Edey. Yep.
The one thing about Germany that I need to pay attention to, and I don't know if he played in their last game, but Franz Wagner missed one of their games. I know he was a little dinged up. They said he was day to day with the ankle thing. So I'll be curious like how healthy Franz is, because obviously, I mean, I know they have Mo Wagner, Daniel Tice, Dennis Schroeder. Like, they've got a lot of NBA talent in there, but they need Franz. Franz is like their best player. They need Franz healthy.
Well, I mean, we're going to talk about the Magic in a little bit when we go to Eastern Conference over-unders, but the Magic are another team that's having a really cool moment between Paolo and Franz. Like, seeing these two guys, and Paolo had a great game yesterday, but like, the idea that these two are going to be your two young stars bodes really well for Orlando, because they're showing they can be 1A guys. Now, look, Paulo isn't quite a 1A yet for Team USA. That's clearly Ant.
Mm-hmm.
But he's playing that Draymond role in this Kerr system. He's playing small ball 5. He's playing excellent defense. He's being a great facilitator in that small ball 5 role. He's just been like super impressive for a fucking 21-year-old. Like, it's been wild to see him become what he's becoming on a FIBA stage. And it really sets the stage for what Orlando's going to be this year, though. I'm not going to step on our over-unders.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that too. I didn't see the small ball 5 stuff come in, and I knew he was like a okay defender. I didn't think he was going to be like a really plus defender. And that does change a lot of his upside. And I mean, they still got like, who knows what they're going to get from Jalen Suggs this year. Yeah, we'll save the Magic stuff. I want to share Heath's comment too, because he said Australia has an outside chance. Yeah, I do agree. Australia's been really good this year too. Any last FIBA comments before we pivot?
No, not really. I mean, I think, we're going to do some games on playback this week, depending on timing. So we'll let you guys know exactly what time we end up going live for those. Some of those are like really weird times, but we'll make it work for you guys.
So we'll pivot to the Eastern Conference, so everybody can Google your wherever you want to get your over/under lines from and follow along with us. Before we do that, we'll take our first ad read break because there's only a couple days left to get your best ball lineups in, because it looks like it's going to fill probably by like Monday or Tuesday. So here we go. Let's take our first break. Today's NBA bit is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy Sports. Whether you're drafting Luka first overall in best ball or fading Wemby blocks in the pick'ems, Underdog is where you'll find Team Hold. Sign up today at underdogfantasy.com or just click the link in the description to get started. And by signing up using promo code HOLD, HOLD, you will get a 100% deposit bonus match up to $100. That's a free honey. So sign up today using promo code HOLD, HOLD, and get started at underdogfantasy.com. There you go. A free honey. A free honey. Wow. Is that the first time you've seen that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got a couple of those. All right, let's switch over. So we'll do the same thing we did for the West. We'll start from the bottom, and then Michael tell us how hard it is to win 50 games, and then just take everybody the over.
That's still going to be the case, but whatever.
Let's start. So we'll start with the team with the worst over under. The worst over under. Even though they acquired the pool party, they acquired Tyus Jones. I've got the Washington Wizards here. Over under is set at 24.5. I don't know. How are we feeling about the Wizards?
Well. Great league pass team, first and foremost, but heavy under. Little bit of history, some good facts I'm going to throw at you guys. Top 3 scoring seasons in Wizards history. Brad Beal twice, back-to-back 30-point seasons, and then Walt Bellamy. Jordan Poole has an incredible chance to break those numbers. Poole played 82 games last year, right? Shot 637 threes, made 214. That would put Jordan Poole at first all-time in attempts in a single season and would put him second in makes in a single season behind Brad Beal in 2016 with 223 made threes. In other words, we're going to see a historic season from Jordan Poole. Period, point blank. This man is going to go off the rails. They're going to be fucking bad. They can't defend a fucking lick. But, man, we are going to see a historic season from Jordan Poole. And, look, to an extent, Kyle Kuzma, too. Kuzma's going to be doing his own thing. But, like, this team is going to be so bad defensively. But I'm excited to see what Jordan Poole does, for sure.
I need to look up what the turnover record is, too, because I could see him smacking that one as well. Yeah, I don't really know what to make of the Wizards, because they do have enough like professional athletes on the team. Where like Kuzma's good, Tyus Jones is a good point guard, Jordan Poole is good. That I feel like they can hang tough. Like I wonder how many W's they actually sneak. Matt was saying a lot of 125 to 140 losses coming. Yeah, I mean that does seem like where it's going to go. I'm interested to see what like Denny does this year. What Corey Kispert came on strong a little bit at the end of last year, but he was also like forced to take on more responsibility. So I don't really know. I mean, I'm definitely taking the under. I do think there'll be a fun league pass team. I think if I'm ever doing daily fantasy sports, there will be a lot of game stacks where I take like Poole, Kuzma, and then 2 guys from the other team as well. Because it does feel like they're just going to be a lot of points scored.
one guy to watch for one younger guy for them to watch for minutes who didn't play a ton on the Warriors and was kind of like an underrated piece in the pool trade. Patrick Baldwin Jr. is going to get minutes for the Wizards, I think, this year. He's like 6'9", can shoot. He's a legit point guard. I think the Wizards are going to play him as like a developmental project, and like PBJ is good. Like in the limited minutes that he played for the Warriors the last 2 years, he was great. So, or last year, he was a regular last year. So yeah, I'd look out for PBJ as like a sneaky, like, you know, 9th, 10th man on that team.
Yeah, that's fun. I like that. Regulator said Jordan Poole over under on getting punched by teammates over 3. Listen, you know what I love though? I love the idea. If I was their social media team, I would try to get Jordan Poole in the room and I would pitch him on this, that I think like Kuzma, they should reenact it with like Kyle Kuzma and just like make it fun, own it, and then move on.
I will tell you from, you know, what's kind of been like buzz around league, both in like Klay Thompson's talked about it, Steph's talked about it, but like apparently Jordan Poole's like already called teammates and they're already practicing in LA. And that's been ongoing the last few weeks.
Yeah.
So like he's taking a little bit of a leadership and ownership over being a quote unquote vet on this team. So like, good on Jordan. Like I don't think he's going to get knocked out. You know, like I get the joke, but like I think it's interesting that right out the gate he contacted most of the guys and like on his own dime before he got fully paid is bringing guys out to LA to play.
Like he's bringing Wizards players out to play?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But Klay Thompson said that?
Klay and Steph both worked out with him about a week and a half ago.
Oh, got you.
And or maybe it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but Klay went on Paul George's podcast and talked specifically about that.
Gotcha. All right, let's move on to our second team here. We've got the Detroit Basketball Pistons. This was the one that I'm most intrigued to talk about. They got an over-under of 28.5 on the line that I'm looking at right now. Detroit gets Cade Cunningham back. Bojan Bogdanovic, who missed most of the second half of the season because they were like, we're going to try to lose games. Isaiah Stewart, who got hurt in January, is healthy again. Year 2 of Jaden Ivey, year 2 of Jalen Duren. Thompson, bro. I don't know. How are we feeling?
So, you know, the first thing that you got to consider is Monty Williams. Every team that Monty Williams has coached in the first year has been more successful than their previous year, consistently across the board. This year's team entirely revolves around Cade Cunningham's health. And for those that didn't see it, Cade was awesome against Team USA 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Beat the brakes off of them in like a Luka Doncic type of role for the select team. So like that's going to be intriguing to see how he plays this year. Obviously, health is going to be a big part of it. But like kind of similar to Houston, they've made a push to get better. They add Joe Harris, they add Monty Morris. Oscar Thompson's going to be good wing depth for them. Are they 12 games better though than last year? No. But that'd be fun as hell to watch.
Yeah, I think they. So I was, and again, I'm biased right now, or have been influenced because I listened to the NBA Athletic show yesterday with Andrew Schlecht and James Edwards III, who covers Detroit pretty closely. I kind of like them to get to 30, and maybe that's too much of a jump too soon. But I do think like the stink on them was like real bad at the end of last year, but it was supposed to be bad. And I think at some point they're going to have to try to start winning some games a little bit to start seeing some improvement. And I think adding somebody like Cade, right back into the mix. I think Thompson's going to be pretty good for them. I think year 2 of Jalen Duren's going to be fun. And then James Edwards III too was talking a little bit about how he basically was like either Wiseman or Bagley's going to play, but not both of them. Like one of those are going to win the backup 5 minutes and that's it. And I like that. Common Man, this is the one thing that's making me nervous about Bojan, right? Is that if Detroit is at like, I don't know, like 15 wins halfway through the season, and this is like Bojan is 34, I think, or 35. Like, I think he's 34. And they don't have a ton of assets. Again, referencing the Athletics podcast yesterday, that like OKC has a ton of picks stocked up. San Antonio, a ton of picks stocked up. The Pelicans, right? But Detroit is not one of those teams that do. They don't have a lot of assets to move. So I could see them. Boyan could be the guy that they move. And Regulator 2 is sorry, one more thing. Just saying, will Dern and Stewart work together? I think they're pretty big fans of Beef Stew's outside shot coming around, and that he was shooting like upwards of 37% before he got hurt in January from 3. And if they can, then yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Jump Shoot just asked in the chat. Arbojan and Joe Harris, same person, kind of. Just the American and the international version.
But I think Boyan's way better. But
I agree. Boyan can actually get on the floor, and like really create some issues. I think both those guys can be traded.
Yeah,
because they're both expirings, and you can package them together for a bigger deal if you wanted to. Boyan's deal is $17.5 million. So if you trade him at the deadline, you're basically only picking up like whatever, like $8 million, give or take. You know, 8.5, depending on when you do it. So like, it's not that bad.
No, that's not bad.
Considered.
So
particularly if you're looking to get shooting and off-ball creation, the only issue I have with Detroit is their wing depth is not great, and they're going to struggle guarding 3, 4s, and 5s, in my opinion. I do think Oster is going to be great.
Yeah, so
he's going to be really fun early on.
I think he's going to play a little bit of the 3. But they have him, they have Boyan. You'll see Joe Harris get out there and play some wing minutes. But you're right, they don't have a lot of like stretchy guys. Also, yeah, I totally forget. I keep forgetting that Monty Morris is there, and I think, to me, that's going to be like some backup minutes that just in control. You know, like
also the interesting thing there from a matchup perspective is you could play Monty and Cade at the same time, right? And you could do playing Cade off ball is something they sort of did a little bit last year with Ivy to like kind of mix success. But I'll be intrigued to see how they kind of mix and match those 3 guys.
Yeah. Agree. All right. You're going under. I think I'm going over, right? That's where we both landed there. All right. Next up, we've got our friend PJ Washington, fresh off a very friendly deal for Charlotte. Over under set at 30.5. They picked up Brandon Miller with the 2nd overall pick. Gordon Hayward will be healthy until he's not. PJ Washington. I'm trying to think of any notable guys that left Charlotte this year. Kelly Oubre, I don't think has found a home yet. That's like the one that I can think of. They got LaMelo healthy. Scary Terry still there. What are you doing with Charlotte?
I mean, they're a similar but different boat than the Pistons and even Houston, frankly. Health, obviously, the concern with LaMelo. You know, he had 4 different ankle injuries last year, which is kind of fucking wild.
It's crazy.
Core is basically LaMelo, as you mentioned. LaMelo, PJ Washington, Brandon Miller, who had a not great summer league, to say the least, and Miles Bridges. Which, by the way, the idea that the Hornets have both Miller and Miles Bridges is just chef's kiss. Amazing. You can pretty much expect Hayward and Rozier to be traded by the deadline. $54 million owed combined to those 2, which is insane. And look, Rozier shot it at a high clip, but his usage rate was off the charts. But he had the worst shooting year of his career. Yeah. I don't see them winning 31 games. Like they're a fun team, but like expect LaMelo to get hurt at some point, probably. Who knows what Miles Bridges will be after a full year off? Is Brandon Miller going to be good? Period. Like I just don't see any real depth, any real stars outside of LaMelo, and any real way to play defense. So, you know, I would take the under in a considerable way.
Yeah, I'm going back and forth because when Bridges was playing and they had that Bridges, LaMelo, Hayward, even Terry, that core, they were pretty solid. And if Brandon Miller isn't asked to do too much early on, you still bring back PJ Washington, Mark Williams in year 2. Like I can see them being feisty. But again, I don't know what the new leadership of the team wants to do. And if they are just like, hey, we do need to move Terry Gordon. Like we're not trying to win. Let's push ourselves down in the lottery or up in the lottery a little bit more. I could definitely see it. I think I'm going to lean over with this Charlotte team. And again, because I do think if LaMelo stays healthy, and I know I'm banking on people's health a little bit, but I just think that there's too many I think the East kind of sucks, and on the especially the lower end, and I think there's going to be some winnable games in there. And I think 30 feels a little low. Like I could see them getting up to like 33, 34. So I'm gonna go over with
I
Charlotte.
I mean, I understand that consideration. I just think like given the amount of expirings, they're gonna sell way earlier than people expect.
Yeah.
Just because there aren't a lot of great free agents this coming up this offseason, teams are gonna want to make some moves at the top. And I people always need wing depth, despite how injured Gordon Hayward is all the time. And Rozier's a solid, 1-2 guy for you. In a good situation, he'll end up being like basically your number 3 or number 4 guy, even as like a backup point guard who can score for you, like a sixth man, maybe. Like
Yeah.
I really struggle with how they're going to defend at a high level, given how young they are. And I think the LaMelo stuff is, we're going to talk about Chicago in a second, but like I'm worried about him. I think there are real concerns about his career potentially long term.
Because of Lonzo's knee?
Well, Lonzo's issues were related allegedly to the shoes,
Yeah.
and LaMelo wore the shoes for a little bit, and it would not surprise me if LaMelo continues to have knee and or ankle issues.
Yeah, we haven't seen LaMelo ever. LaMelo's injuries have been more freak things than that. You know what I mean? They haven't been like structural, right? Like he like broke an ankle.
Sure.
So I don't know. That feels tinfoil hatty right there.
It's a little tinfoil hatty. I'm just worried about him, man. Like he did just sign the extension though. To be fair.
Yeah, you know what?
Got the
I'm
bag.
actually feeling more and more confident about my over now because I'm
Okay.
thinking too, like Gordon Hayward. They move off of Gordon Hayward. I think they're going to be okay. I think Scary Terry is the one that would hurt them if he left. Like I think he does a lot for that team, and I think that one would hurt him a little bit more than Gordon Hayward leaving. So all right, you're going under on Charlotte. I'm going over. There we go. Look, I feel like last time we were the same on all of these, and then. This time now we've already had two different. So wow, people are just screaming outside. That's fun. All right, next up, I got wow, that's crazy. All right, I got Toronto next here at 35.5. Is that what you have as well?
Yep.
Yeah, so we got Toronto at 35.5. Wow, hold on. Boston Base letting us know here in the chat. Richard Sherman said trade Giannis for AD. Great. Love that take. All right, so for the Raptors, they got Fred VanVleet's on his way to Houston. We have Pascal Siakam in every single trade rumor. Nick Nurse is coaching the Sixers now. They got sued by the Knicks. They've got a new coach, and Scotty Barnes is going to be Mr. Point Guard, and Grady Dick. So how are we feeling about Toronto there?
I mean, I'm going to sound like a broken record here again. Like, this is a team in real flux. And I think there are questions about management at this case, which sounds wild because it's Masai.
Yeah.
Right? And we all trust Masai. Like, we love all of his off-the-court work. But, like, the last 2 off seasons, you let Kyle Lowry go for basically nothing. And you let Fred VanVleet go for nothing. And you pretty clearly have overmanaged the market for OG and Anunoby.
Yeah.
I mean, the Warriors were allegedly offering 4 firsts for OG, and you're getting nowhere near that now.
The Warriors or the Warriors too? I know the Grizzlies.
The Warriors were going to offer between 3 to 4 first-round picks and Kuminga was what the Raptors were looking for OG.
Yeah.
So like whether the Warriors offered 2 or 3 first-round picks in Kuminga, that's up for debate. Certainly been a debate here in the Bay Area, but like I don't love this roster. I think signing Schroeder is like a kind of panic point guard deal.
Yeah.
Should be fine. And at $12.5 million, it's good money. But like, I don't know, man. Otto Porter hasn't been the same guy since he won a title with the Warriors. I think Grady Dick will be fine, but like, do you see any real upside with this team outside of Scotty Barnes? Like Pascal, post getting his big deal, has been a kind of mediocre number 2. Like,
didn't he make All NBA?
Not post his deal.
Not post his deal.
When he got his deal, yes, but he's not made All NBA since.
If Siakam is there the whole time, I can see them going over. I'm nervous they're going to move off of Siakam and then it craters. And like, listen, if Scotty Barnes, if they are able to unlock Barnes in a way that he hasn't been unlocked yet as this offensive facilitating type player, then sure, I could see it. I think I like Toronto. I want Toronto to be good. Yeah, don't forget Jalen McDaniels. I think I'm going under on this one too because I just don't trust. I don't trust Siakam's going to be there. And if I went over on Charlotte, no, I went over on Detroit, and part of that reasoning is because I think Toronto is going to take a little bit more of a step back, and so I'm bummed for them because they have such a fun fan base and they had such like high hopes for this young squad, but they got like a shit or get off the pot moment here with both OG Anunoby and Pascal.
I think they only have one TV game, like 1 or 2 TV games, which
Yeah.
So clearly the league is not feeling that roster at all either.
Yeah. All right, let's go. We're going to move on because I feel like I'm moving slowly. We got the Orlando Magic. We talked a little bit about them in the FIBA. They're at over 36.5. They brought on another guard in Anthony Black. Markelle Fultz is healthy. Cole Anthony somehow still there. Jalen Suggs, will he wake up? You have Franz, Wendell Carter Jr., Paolo. Mo Wagner's on a different team now. I don't think they had any other real major moves from that. But I don't know. What are we doing with Orlando here at this number?
This one I went back and forth on. I know I've gone under for all of these so far. I'm going over on the Magic. Mm-hmm. Look, I think Paolo and Franz both take a leap. The question here is timelines, right? Like, they have a mix of vets and young players. It's a little spicy. Some parts of it's perplexing. Like, I hated the Jet Howard pick, even in the moment.
Yeah,
Anthony Black, I think, will be really good, but young point guards take time. So, like, we'll be going to be intrigued to see what happens there. They already have 2 good point guards in good being relative, and like Cole Anthony and Fultz. And it's like Wendell Carter makes sense for their young guys, but like they're going to need to tinker with this roster to win 37 games, I think. But just off the strength of Paolo and Franz, I'll take the over.
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. I was hoping this was going to be closer to the like the in between the Hornets and the Raptors number, like 33 or something like that. Because I do think you're banking on a lot of things right now. Of Paolo has to take a second-year leap for them to get over 36.5 games. Franz has to take another leap in his 3rd year. And then their point guard stuff is weird because like Fultz, it was awesome the second half of the year. He was great offensively and defensively. Fultz did a lot of good stuff with him. But again, you're banking on Fultz's health, and he's run into a lot of weird problems. Jalen Suggs has not only gotten hurt, but also just hasn't performed. I don't think Cole Anthony's good. You already said the thing about Anthony Black about being a rookie point guard. So there's like a lot of what ifs about it, but I think this number is like right on the money, like 36. Like they're either going to win 36 or 37. And again, I'm just looking at the teams that are ahead of them. They have to be better than, like we're going to talk about the Bulls, the Pacers, the Hawks. I don't know. It's pretty damn close. I think I'm going to go over on that because I think they are ready to be more competitive. And when you look at the second half of the year, they were really, really good. The second half of the year, really tough team. So I think I'm going to take the over on Orlando.
One thing to consider: they have about $60 million in non-guaranteed or expiring contracts after this season.
Yeah.
So like, they could very easily make some deals here at the deadline as well. Whether that's Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz, they have a lot of different needs that they need to fulfill, and we'll see if they end up making a deal. But that's my other consideration of potentially if they did go under, it'll be because they do all these bets.
Yeah. Also, Jumpshoe asking about their ownership. Yeah, but this has been the same ownership forever. It's the people that brought you Amway. All right. So I'm not really worried about them donating money. They're scumbags anyways. They're all scumbags.
The only say that I would that the only unique thing about what they did is that they made a donation in the team's name. That's new. That's something that we actually haven't seen.
Yeah.
In a professional sports team.
I literally don't care. Like if it should. I mean, I understand why it was a story, but I was like, if you're just learning that this family sucks, then I don't know what to tell you. And maybe it's because I came from the education world ahead of time, and I am aware of who the Secretary of Education.
Oh, you're aware of Betsy DeVos? Who would have thought?
So the DeVoses suck. Also, great point by We the People. Orlando dove headfirst into Top Shot. That should be our first red flag. I'm going to go over on Orlando, and partially because the next team we're going to talk about, I'm going to go under on. We get the Brooklyn Nets,
Ooh.
36.5 as well. We got Mikal Bridges, who's back. I don't know your reaction makes it seem like you're going over on under. Over on Brooklyn. What's got you excited about the Nets?
So the first thing that's got me excited about Brooklyn is Bridges. So like, I did a little bit of a deep dive this morning on Bridges' numbers post trade, and like, it's kind of insane. Both in terms of his shot chart and why he ended up getting to where he ended up getting to. So he went from basically averaging like 21 a game to 27. And he did that by more or less getting to the line more frequently. His free throw rate doubled, which is pretty awesome. But more importantly, the way that he was getting to his shots was very, very different. With the Suns, it was a mix of pull-ups and, basically like occasionally getting to the rack. And now 50% of his shots are pull-up jumpers. And he's simply getting to the line. And that's unique relative for someone like him in terms of his shot profile. Now, maybe that's a small sample size. It's only 27 games. But, like, he's nailing his catch and shoots. He's getting his pull-up jumpers. Like, he's in a really interesting place. And if he takes that leap into, like, true superstardom, you can hit that 37 game over. Look, I think Cam Johnson's been, I wouldn't say revelation, but I think he's been a nice piece in FIBA as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other question with the Nets, and Mike, you're going to kill me on this, is, what happens with Ben Simmons, right?
The same thing that happens every year.
Right?
I'm not buying the Ben. I made that Twitter list. Anybody that's buying the Ben Simmons hype is on that clown list because, like, until I see this happen consistently for a month, I'm not buying it. Here's the thing about Brooklyn. I agree with everything that you said about Mikal Bridges. I think Mikal Bridges is going to be awesome. We saw some really, really cool things, and you were referencing their last back in the season. Their last 25 games, they were 11-14. So, like, Mikal Bridges can be really good and they can suck. And I think that's kind of what we're going to see, where he's going to be like Devin Booker on the Suns when he dropped 70 against the Celtics in a loss. Like, I think it's going to be that type of stuff that we're going to be seeing from Brooklyn. I know Cam Johnson's good. I know they've got some really good pieces there. But again, looking at some of the teams around them, I just think, like, I don't know. I'm not buying Brooklyn.
One quick note. If they do suck, one guy to look for to be dealt, Dorian Finney-Smith.
Oh, they've got too many of those guys, right? Royce O'Neal, Dorian Finney-Smith, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. Like, they've got too many of those dudes.
Yeah, but Finney-Smith, I believe, let me double check if Finney-Smith is expiring.
I think you're right. I'm just saying, like, those are the guys that, like, he's expendable because
I know he's got 2 years and a player option, actually.
But it's a super friendly contract, right? So I think people would want something like that.
Right.
But, like, again, you know what? If Ben Simmons does show up into the guy that he was 3 years ago, where he's an all-star, all-defensive player, whatever, and they've got, like, shooters all around him, okay, cool. But who are the shooters? But who are the three-point shooters outside of Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson?
I mean, it's not great.
Yeah,
it's a pretty ugly roster.
Yeah,
like Dennis Smith Jr. is on this roster. That's how bad this roster is.
DSJ was cooking.
I like DSJ. Lonnie Walker the fourth. Like, this is not a very good roster.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, this, sure. You tell me you get all-star.
Dinwiddie, I guess.
You know what? Dinwiddie's good. Dinwiddie's good. I like Dinwiddie.
But one quick Ben Simmons note before we move on to the Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
But did you see his comments this week about wanting to go back to Philly?
I did. I did. I think he's on
what are we doing?
Dude. I think he's on an ayahuasca trip that's been going on for 13 years. Like, this dude is insane. I think he really enjoys people talking about him in the offseason, because when they're talking about him in the offseason, they're not talking about how he's not playing basketball, because it's normal for them not to play basketball in the offseason. I'm not buying the Ben Simmons clown show. Okay. So congrats on hitting one jump shot, and then the Bleacher Report or NBA Central tweeting out the video of him hitting one jumper, and then it's like a bunch of clips of Royce O'Neal, and they're like, "Oh, Ben Simmons is back." Like, I'm fucking done with this. I'm done with this. I think everybody should be put in prison who are tweeting out pro Ben Simmons tweets. All right, enough of the Nets. You're going over on the Nets. I'm going under. Let's do some Chicago Bulls with the over-under 37.5. So they've got no Lonzo. They did sign all of the rest of their guards. It looked like Io was going to leave. They got Io back. I forget, Caruso's still there. I feel like there's
Right.
another guard that I'm playing. Oh no, they signed Kobe White again as well. I was. So what are you doing with Chicago?
I mean, I'm taking the under at 37.5. I didn't really understand their offseason, to your point. It's like, why did you sign Vooch to that massive deal to be the 6 or 7 seed in the East? Like,
it made no sense.
What's your vision? Is your vision being mediocre because you want to keep Levine if you can, because you just signed him to that extension 2 years ago, and DeRozan's, 1 foot out the door? I mean, I don't really understand it. Like, and look, you a lot of this is driven by ownership. Like they have an ownership group that owns 2 big sports teams in Chicago, and both of them fucking suck.
I don't understand. I don't understand too, especially because of like, they knew what the Lonzo situation was. And I know there's a case to be made like, hey, when we had Lonzo, we were like one of the best teams in the East. And I don't know. And people are coming back on the Vooch
on the
stuff,
20 mil for Vooch. Let me throw some shots here. Like, 20 million for Vooch's offensive production is fine. Defensively, that guy's a disaster. And that money can be better spent elsewhere if you're going to go the route that they're going. Look, you can say that they were up Schitt's Creek anyway, right? You could say, look, either you sign Vooch or you try to find a backup. I'd rather try to find some wing depth or like a legitimate point guard who makes sense for your team, and try to find some kind of vision rather than locking up $60 million over 3 years.
Yeah,
with a guy who's like a good but not great big.
Yeah, I just don't know who they were. I don't know who they were like bargaining with. I don't know who else was or who they were competing with in this deal. I mean, it reminds me of like the Dylan Brooks deal. Like, who else was offering Dylan Brooks $20 million a year, Houston? And Houston's just like, oh, we're gonna spend the money.
It also would have been interesting if, like, I'm looking at Spotrac right now on that deal. So that deal it's 3 years fully guaranteed. Like, given the kind of deals for players like even the Fred VanVleet deal is 3 years with a team option. Bruce Brown, who we're gonna talk about the Pacers in a second, that deal is massive. It's 2 for 45, but the second year is a team option.
Yeah.
So like there are ways that they could have made that more palatable from a team perspective, and instead they just signed him for 3 for 60, which is not like I get it, but like I personally wouldn't have done it.
LFS, the only thing I'm gonna say, man, is but like universally people are like the Nurkic deal is the worst deal in the league right now. It's called an albatross. So, and everybody, when they re-signed Pirtle, everybody's like, what the fuck are the Raptors doing? Capella's on his way out of Atlanta. Like, I get what you're saying. But one other thing I wanted to mention about Chicago before we move on, because we are running slow. I agree. This is prep for Giannis. So I imagine Levine is gone. I imagine they're just going to be moving the pieces so that Giannis is on his way out when he on his way there when he leaves Milwaukee. But all right, we're both going under on Chicago. Let's get to a hype team right now in the Indiana Pacers. Shout out John W. and Yachty. They get an over of 38.5. Obi Toppin made his way. They also got Bruce Brown, who you just mentioned, and then the rookie Yaris Walker. So they've got some fun little pieces. I think everybody's excited about them. I don't know. What are you doing with Indiana?
I mean, we're going to keep this short and sweet. I'm taking the over. Top 5 league pass team for me. Love the additions of Brown and Toppin. We talked about that. Both give you length and positional versatility. Brown in particular, the nice thing is he can play a little backup point guard when Halliburton's out, which he did a little bit of for Denver in the playoffs. And like with Halliburton, we're seeing a lot of this growth here with FIBA, which is what we've seen really in the last year and a half since he got traded. But like the interesting thing from a stats perspective with Halliburton is look at his 3-point percentage. He's increased his total amount and he's staying at 40%. So he went from like roughly 3.5 threes a game to like 4 or 5, and he's still staying at 40%. So he's increasing his workload and keeping the same percentage. So like on top of being an excellent distributor and a solid defender. So, like,
Yeah,
I just love this team, man.
I did
I,
too.
I,
And
I really like what they're going to be doing. And Mathurin was great the first 20% of the year.
Yeah, you know what I'm really fascinated with the Pacers is how they're going to handle the trade deadline because like legally the NBA is required to say that Miles Turner and Buddy Hield are on the trade block. So I'm curious to see like if they're playing really well. I mean, I could see them moving off one of those pieces to get another one to get like, continue to stay young and because they probably like we're not competing for a title this year. And so like continue to build out their core. But yeah, I'm going over as well. I love Halliburton. I think Bruce Brown is a great addition off the bench. I think they're overpaying him, but whatever. And they got him to Indiana. I mean, again, you think about that starting five of Hallie, Miles Turner, Buddy Hield, and then whoever else you want to throw in there.
Stan, I'm not saying his efficiency was poor. If you're talking about Halliburton, I'm saying he increased.
I think they were talking about. He's talking to Regulator about Vooch and PJ Washington.
Not bad.
But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna go over on that too. I think they're gonna be a lot of fun. I don't think they're gonna win like 45 games. So I think everybody's talking about Indiana like they're gonna be incredible. I mean, this is like play-in action, right? So I think they're gonna finish somewhere between the 10 and the 7 seed probably. And then speaking of play-in, there's a 4-game jump to our next one. The Atlanta Hawks 42.5. They are going to be sellers with Clint Capella. I think he's going to be gone. We saw John Collins leave. So I guess they're hoping Jalen Johnson takes a leap. They've got Bogey still there. Kongu's probably going to be their starting 5 come January, assuming Capella gets moved. What are you doing with Atlanta?
And they were able to get the extension as well.
On DeJounte, right?
Right. Yes. Yep. Which is a weird extension.
Yeah.
Like, it was. I think it's like 4 for 100 or 4 for 125. Like, it was a very weird extension given what he could have gotten had he waited a year.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, maybe just wanted the money. Yeah, first full year of Quinn Snyder, so that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Look, I'll be quick with them. The salary depth of John Collins we wanted for like 3 years. They finally did it. I don't understand the vision of this team. I don't understand their ownership. I don't understand what their GM's doing. Like, I just have lots of questions about where they are ultimately, and like. This is an under team for me, but like this feels like Trey's last year in Atlanta.
Yeah, I was going to say right there, We the People said gave him an extension because Trey is gone. It does feel like they did, like that was a security measure. I don't think they're actively trying to get rid of Trey. I do think they want it. Like Trey is the reason people like Trey is very Atlanta. Yes. I think the people love him there. And so I think like DeJounte's there because they're like, this could work together. But if it doesn't, at least we have DeJounte locked up for a couple of years and we're not going to go full rebuild. I'm going under on this, but I think it's probably close. I think they're going to finish similar to what they did last year. Like it's going to be right in that, 38 to 43 win total. But yeah, I don't understand what they're doing. I don't know. It's not like I think they're going to get a massive piece back for Capella. You're assuming DeAndre Hunter's going to stay healthy. Like guys like Jalen Johnson, AJ Griffin, like all of those guys are going to have to be playing meaningful minutes. And I don't know. Last year, I thought they underachieved with the roster that they have. And now they got rid of John Collins for nothing. They got nothing back. It was a salary.
And look, you do just the slightest bit of digging on ownership and how the owner's son is apparently dabbling in some GM stuff that he shouldn't be. It's messy, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be ugly, I think, in Atlanta. I'm going under on them. All right, we jump all the way up now from them to the New York Knickerbockers here at 46.5. They brought in Dante DiVincenzo. They brought Josh Hart back. They've got RJ fresh off his Canadian run. Jalen Brunson playing for FIBA. Julius Randle. They lost Obi Toppin. I don't know. What are you doing with New York?
I'd stay away from this one if I was actually betting it, but gun to my head, I'm taking the over.
Yeah.
Just because of how bad the bottom of the East is. Here's a fun fact: 3rd best 5-man rotation in the league. Minimum 500 minutes playing together.
Yeah.
Even if you lower that number to 300, they're the 9th best 5-man rotation in the league with Randall, Brunson, Robinson, Grimes, Barrett. How DiVincenzo fits in there as a 6th man should be fun, along with Josh Hart. I think DiVincenzo is going to provide some shooting and defensive versatility, although he was like okay as a defender for Golden State last year. Here's the issue: they had the 5th worst scoring bench in the league last year.
Yeah.
So like, who scores off the bench is going to be critical. I'm going to guess they get over, but it's going to be messy.
Yeah.
Like I think at best like 45, 46.
Yeah, I think it's like this number feels great. I agree with you. It's either 40. They're either going to win 46 games or they're going to win 47 games. I'm not touching it. I like Brunson a lot. I think Brunson is like guaranteed 40 wins. You have Jalen Brunson,
Yes.
you're guaranteed 40. I think a lot of it will depend on like Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickly, and like where Julius Randle's headspace is come January. So I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go over. Gun to the head. I'm gonna go over with that one. So there you go. There's your Bing Bong boys. And then we jump up to Miami. Miami's over under is set at 48.5. They lost Gabe Vincent to the Lakers, Max Strus to the Cavs, Udonis Haslem to old age. And then the writing on this wall is that Tyler Hero, maybe one of Nikola Jovic, or Jaime Jaquez are going to be gone, so that Damian Lillard could come. What are you doing?
I mean, I'm gonna be quick here. Over. Obviously, super dependent on whether Dame gets traded, but Dame, Jimmy, and Bam should win 50 games in the East.
Yeah, they should. I'm starting to wonder. Like, I don't know if Dame is there, I'm obviously taking the over. If I'm betting this right now, I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the under and just be like, maybe they try to hold out all the way until the trade deadline. And if you're holding out till the trade deadline, that's more than half of the season. And then it's like, not that they wouldn't. I would still want Miami, or I would still think Miami is a title threat once they get him. I just don't think Spo, Jimmy care about crushing regular season W. So I'm going to take under 48.5 there. I still think they're going to be good. It's not Miami Heat slander. I just don't know if they're winning 50 regular season games.
Serious question. If Duncan Robinson gets traded, does he record more podcasts or hit more threes in the regular season?
Oh, if he gets traded, he's going to hit more threes. I think on Miami, he might not take threes because remember, Duncan Robinson disappeared the entire season until the playoffs. So
except when he played Boston.
Except when he played Boston, that's right. So they're 48.5. I'll go first on this one. I'm staying under for the next one. The Sixers 49.5. The vibes are bad in Philly. Vibes are bad in Philly. You got James Harden, who I think is just going to be bad on the Sixers this year. Embiid is already flirting with like frustration and getting out of there. They lost Shake Milton. I forget Jalen McDaniels as well. You got Maxey, who's on the ascent. So there's your
Georges Niang. They lost too.
Yeah, Georges Niang as well. That's right. What are you doing with Philly there?
Under. I mean, I think it's the most no-brainer bet on the board. The only way they get over is if you get a fully 100% bought-in James Harden. And given that we know James Harden's history, there's no fucking way that happens. Yeah. Like, in what world is James Harden, after calling his boss a liar, going to show up to work and be like, I'm ready to have 10 assists a game and average, 17 a game?
Yeah.
I just don't see that happening. So, yeah, under, no doubt.
I mean, it would be the first time in his career he did something like that. Jumpshoot said, so Harden doesn't hold out. He said he wouldn't play with Morey around. I know I've talked about this before. He can't really hold out. He can't hold out because if he holds out, he won't be able to play basketball on another team again unless the Sixers give him permission. Yeah, anywhere.
Not even just in the U.S. Like, if that man wants to go to China, he has to get the Sixers' permission.
Yeah, so he can't hold out, and it's like 30 games. I think if he misses the first month of the season, or no, the first 30 games of the season, I forget what the exact number information is around that, but yeah, he can't hold out. He can't hold out. All right, let's keep going. I was actually surprised to learn that the Cavs number was higher by a full game than the Sixers. So the Cavs, the third highest win total in the East at 50.5. So they added Niang, they added Strus. That was like their biggest hole. They brought back Karis LeVert on a deal. They've got Donovan Mitchell, and most likely his last year with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They got Darius Garland with another year under his belt, Mobley with another year under his belt. What are you doing with Cleveland?
Over. I love this team. Like, they have all the tools to be the 2 seed in the East. In fact, I'm just going to say it. I think they're the 2 seed in the East. Like, I think that highly of this team. Like, well, you have your two bigs in Allen and Mobley. Mitchell has been fantastic as a true superstar, proved it last year. Garland's, I wouldn't call him quite an elite playmaker, but he's like good to great.
Yeah.
For sure. Love the additions of Niang and Strus because it solves their problems at the 3. Coaching's their biggest concern.
Yeah, bigger staff.
Like, I do think that's a part of this, but like, do I think that the Cavs can win 51, 52, 53 games? Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over as well. I agree with Regulator. What will they do with Allen? I am concerned about that. We're not concerned. I'm just curious about it. I'll take the over. I'm not going to say strong enough to be the 2 seed because the Bucks at 53.5. I think the Bucks will be better than the Cavs. So I'm going to take the Bucks. I think I'm going to take the over on it too. I think I'm going to take the over on 53.5. And I honestly think they're going to be the 1 seed right there. So I will take the over on Milwaukee. What about you?
Here's the issue with the Bucks. The vibes are not great with the Bucks
Yeah.
right now. Those Giannis comments last week, messy, man. Just
Yeah.
not ideal coming from your superstar being like, hey, you guys got to put up or shut up or I'm leaving.
Right.
And you have an aging team with minimal draft assets. They don't have any draft picks for the next 4 years. Like, they're just – we're doing this. Actually pretty funny. But, like, I just – look, Drew's 33. Middleton, I think is 34 as well. Brooke Lopez is age 34 this year. Like they have a lot of health questions, and it's not like Brooke hasn't had health issues, and Giannis has had like little things nip him here and there. I understand the argument to take the over. I would just take the under to play it safe.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over because I think this is like last hurrah for this core group. And I think they're coming off that embarrassing 8 seed action there with Miami, where they lost in the first round. I think they're gonna come out hungry and just be really good. So I get the case for the under as well. And then the last one, the Celtics, who are the current favorites to win it all, which I think is a little weird. They're over under set at 53.5. We know Marcus Smart is gone. They got our friend, Marcus Smart's gone. Grant Williams is gone. They picked up Kristaps Porzingis, who should be ready to go after his plantar fasciitis this summer. What are you doing with the Zanger and the Boston Celtics for the 53.5? I know you already said the Cavs are the 2 seed and you're going under on the Bucks, so I do think you have them as the 1 seed.
Celtics are the 1. Shocker. Look, I'm taking the over on the Celtics. I think they're going to win like 55 games. I have the same concerns that you have about Porzingis. And my actual concern is much more about playmaking than anything else. I think losing Smart. Like the thing about Smart outside of his defense is he was an excellent playmaker. He's definitely the best passer on this team. So now we're going to see more of Tatum and Brown having to play make, which I think is pretty interesting. Derek White's going to be the full-time point guard. But, like, I think during the regular season, they will be fine. The question becomes in the playoffs whether Tatum and Brown's playmaking will hurt them. And we've gone too long already for me to, like, deep dive into Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum's, like, shot chart numbers. But what I will simply tell you guys is Tatum's certainly shooting more threes. He's getting to the rim less. His mid-range is basically non-existent. And the most interesting thing to me is he's dribbling far more as a playmaker, which is making his shots less efficient.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I am on that.
No, I get that. I think I'm going to go over as well. I think the Bucks will be the 1 seed, the Celtics will be the 2 seed, and the Cavs will be the 3 seed. I think they will all win over 50 games. And the Knicks will be not too far behind in the 4 seed. And yeah, I think that's where we're going to land there. So I'm going to go over on them as well. I got same concerns as everybody else. Playmaking, health, all that fun stuff. That's kind of but I just think the East sucks. I think there's going to be a lot of W's in there, even when they rest guys. I think we'll see Tatum and Brown also get a little bit better because they've just done that every single year. So, now they get a full year under Missoula without like the weird
and a
stuff.
better coaching staff.
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah. Full year under Missoula, new assistant coaches, all that stuff I think is going to matter. So there you go. There we did it. We did it the East and the West. We're going to wrap up because I got to get out of here. Mike, anything you need to plug before we roll?
No, we're going to have some playbacks upcoming. Obviously, at some point in the future, when NBA games start coming back in about a month and a half, 2 months, we'll be doing live games probably about twice a week on playback. So
sweet. Just a reminder, I'm probably going to get some drinks and then do the fantasy football draft tonight. We'll stream that thing live. So that'll be around, I think, 9:15. We'll go live here if you guys want to come hang out. Otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Check out all the links, whether it's Underdog, So Rare. Click all of those things. Make us famous. I will have a fun announcement at the beginning of the NBA season soon. It's been confirmed. I just can't announce it yet, but it's good that it's been confirmed. Regulator said that was fun. Western Conference tomorrow. We did the Western Conference like 2 weeks ago. But we'll be back. Weisberg will be back next Thursday. Otherwise, we will see you all tonight or tomorrow. Happy football drafting day. We out.